Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending what time you're joining me at. This is Catherine Gallagher, this is CMG Talk, and this is me. It's all about you. In fact, it's all about all of us, because we all have a mental health as well as physical health. Now, as many of you may know, if you're listening to my episodes as we go along, you'll know that I originally came from a nursing background, and I left nursing because I had a physical difficulty, should we put it that way. I have major problems with mobility. At times it becomes more problematic, and I felt that to be truly a leader in what I do, I needed to take ownership and accountability. Now, the nursing profession did ask me to stay. They said I had a particular affinity for what I was doing. They said I was really caring, I was compassionate. They needed people just like me. I felt though I wasn't able to perform and deliver at my best when I was having problems with my mobility. And I made a very painful, very difficult choice at that time to leave the nursing profession, because it was a vacation. And I wanted to take the leadership within my life and to be able to do something where I felt that I could give all of me and the best of me. And that meant changing careers. Now, at that time, there was many nurses, and I was at times judged because people saw that I was pursuing monetarily, which wasn't the case, because if they knew what I went into, they would know monetarily is never a pursuit that you go into with mental health. I decided leadership was really important. And when I talk about leadership, I work within business. I'm a businesswoman, and I do coaching, result coaching. I've been doing result coaching for nearly 30 years. I have been head coaches working along some of the great thinkers and leaders within the world of coaching. And I also have worked with many great thinkers, great leaders within mental health. That's a privilege for me. And they have often shared that they have thoroughly enjoyed my thinking, my working, and they have felt it as much. And that is, wonderful to hear that. But I think within our work, there needs to be a certain level of humbleness, I feel. What qualities do you have within your life as a great leader in your life, taking directionality? Because that's what leadership is about. People often think leadership and being a leader means that you have to be a director or a manager or in government. I disagree. I believe that being a leader means you have to step up, which is why my company is called Step Up. Which I named my company 21 years ago. I incorporated my company, but I have been working within this field of mental health for many years since, more than that actually, up to 30 years within mental health. And I called my company Step Up for a very good reason, because I do believe we have to step up within our life, step up in situations and step up for injustice. That's my belief. But I guess the question is, what do you think? Have there been times when you've stepped up and shown great leadership for you, for others in your life? And what does it look like to show leadership? And what does it mean to be a leader? People sometimes say, I'm not somebody that likes to step into the light, step into the limelight. Let me put it that way. I don't like to have the torch shown on me. But actually in our life, if we can't be the one that is there front and centre, how are we ever going to live our best life and be our best if we're not the one that's directing it, making the choices, taking choice and saying that we're the leader, the best leader in our life? If we're not taking leadership and being the leader in our mindset, knowing how to direct our mindsets that are Inner voice is our own best champion. You will have heard me say this many, many times if you have been listening to my episodes previously. I've talked about our inner voice, internal self-talk, being our own best champion for nearly 30 years. I'm a psychological ambassador because I have been right there front and centre talking about mental health for 30 years plus. Wanting to have leadership in mental health is my passion. If you're not passionate about something, the very most about our life, living our life, being our best life, having and living our best life, what else can we be passionate about? Leadership. What does it look like for you in your life? And what qualities do you look for in and being a best leader? It's very interesting, isn't it, when we think about what leadership looks like. When I ask people in work, in business, about leadership, they'll often look at wanting support from their leaders. I'll ask, do they give support to their leaders? And sometimes that's not reciprocated. Sometimes it's not given to, seen as necessary. Sometimes I hear things like, well, that's what they get paid for. We're human beings. We all need to feel we belong. We have a sense of belonging. We all need to feel that we have, respect. We're respected, that there's trust there, that there's honesty. Certain conditions within leadership. Is that not being a leader? If you're looking for those conditions, they're part of being a leader. So how could you not call yourself a leader if you're looking for the conditions of leadership? Anything that we do, we look to take leadership on if we want to make it happen. We just don't call it leadership. We call it taking charge. We call it making it happen. We just don't call it leadership. But that's really what we're doing. For me, integrity is important. The right intention, not having an ill-meant agenda. The right intention. You see, a good leader has the best interests for the right result. They want to make sure that those around and not just themselves, that what happens is done with the right, best intentions. It might not please everybody. It might not be what everybody wants. But they're doing it because they believe overall it's the best. It's the right thing. It's the best thing to do. Ownership, accountability, responsibility are all words we hear, isn't it, in leadership. If we're being leaders in our life, taking leadership in our life, making things happen, surely, we have to look at being accountable, taking responsibility, not procrastinating, making things happen in the right way, at the right time, with the right people, in the right conditions, being present, respect, honesty. Integrity, accountability, ownership. It wasn't me. I didn't mean it. It was them. It happened to me. We often find justification. I talk about going into justification mode, and I'll ask people, what reasons do you have? Because we don't like to talk about their excuses. We'll talk about the reasons though. What reasons do you have for this? And people are very good at looking what's not right, because our brain points to the problems. We're experts in the problems. People want to come to me and talk about the problem. My direction is to help them find solutions. They're an expert in the problems. Let's find and be a solutionizer. Let's find the solution. Let's find how to move things forward. I've tried everything. No, apart from the solution. We've not tried the solution. We've not tried what works. Perhaps because what it's going to take is time, patience, perseverance, resilience, commitment. All of these things that make it worthwhile. All of these things that mean that we will appreciate, find gratitude when we get the outcome and the result. I've just saw 20 years of something coming together. 20 years. I've also saw something of 10 years coming together. I've saw something of 5 years coming together. I had it constantly coming up and reminding me month by month. I was doing a countdown. I've completed that month. I've completed this month. I've completed that month. Stepping stones building up or counting down. Out of sight, out of mind. If we want to make something happen, we can do. With fortitude, willingness, commitment. Sometimes we need resources. Good leaders will see what is needed, will have that self-belief and want to fill the full potential, will know they have the purpose. Take charge of our life. Sometimes people will say, I don't make plans, I just let things happen. I don't decide to do things, I just see what comes up. Okay. The reality is that opportunities may present themselves, but they're likely to happen a lot quicker and in a way that's going to be workable, or in a way that we find that is what we're looking for, if you go out there and look for it and seek it and implement it. It depends on what we're talking about. But leadership, being a leader, having leadership qualities, and knowing what a good leader is for you. What does it take to lead and be a leader in your life? Are you somebody who's an observer? Are you a pacifier in your life? Do you just let things happen? Do you let other people take control and take charge? And how's that working for you? I ask clients that all the time. And how's that working out for you? And usually they go, well, not well. It's not working out well, is it? Because I'm here. It's not good. It's not working out. It's a good question to ask, isn't it? How's that working out for you now? Right now, is that working? How's that working out for you? Leadership. Being a leader in your life. There are amazing leaders. Leaders challenge, question, are honest, purposeful. They understand what has to happen. They inspire and motivate. If you think about good leadership, I look about in my life who I aspire to, and I have met some amazing and wonderful leaders. I remember in my nursing, the first ward I went into, the sister in the ward was an amazing leader. She had such calm commitment. She led her team and she trusted her team. She knew what needed to have happen. She had the ability to know, and she would ask you. And you knew there was no such thing as no embarrassment or feeling that you would be chastised if you didn't know. She would always say, honesty is the best policy. She would ask you directly, do you know how to do this? And she would always say, no is the right answer if you don't. Never say you know or blunder through things. If you don't know, you say, I'll find someone that does. Honesty is the best policy. I remember saying that to her. I don't know, but I'll find someone that does. And I'm looking at them right now. And she laughed and she said, I say that all the time, she said. That's a strength, to know your limitations. Know your strengths, but also know what you don't know. She said, I like that. Never be frightened of taking responsibility and ownership, but also if you don't know, say you don't know. I found her such an inspiring leader. I also went into another ward where the matron ran a care of the elderly unit, and she had such dignity and grace, compassion, and she talked about each individual person was a resident. We were guests. We were there. It was their place. And it was all, and this was a long time ago. She was way ahead of the thinking at the time. And it was all about us being there, making sure that every single person that was there had the best quality of life. Unique, individual people. And we used to take people out, go with them for their own safety, out for meals or out, for afternoon tea, or get, their hair done, or go to the barbers. We used to go to different places. And it was just amazing, right? The quality of life. And people would say, oh, we don't have the time for that. We were actually really very limited with the number of people that we had on shift. Very limited. A lot less than now, I would imagine. But it was about the grace and dignity, but the quality of life. I loved it. It taught me a lot. Patience. I connect a lot with people that are older. I respect people's journeys and people's life experiences. I love listening to people that are 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. I love listening to the life they've led, the leaders that they've been in their life. I love listening to people that have had leadership, public leadership, providing them with good leadership, good examples of leadership. It's inspiring. We know examples of good leadership. We also know poor examples of leadership. Power corrupts. It can also empower. It can also motivate and inspire. Listening to people talk about their individual stories, listening to narratives about how people have lived their life courageously, inspiring with grace and with compassion and with empathy. I've met many people that have inspired and actually really found it very humbling, listening to what their narratives are, how they've lived their life and been great, tremendous leaders. And I'm talking about people that have had everyday jobs. Everyday jobs. Everyday lives. But they have led their life with grace and dignity and purpose. Compassion. They're not perfect, they've made mistakes, but they've owned it, they've taken accountability, responsibility, they've made the tough decisions. Resilience. They've said things like, life doesn't owe me anything, life is what I make of it. I might be unhappy, but I'm responsible for my own happiness. I might be disappointed. So what? Life has its ups and downs, its peaks and flows. I'm not supposed to be happy all the time. I'm supposed to have the tough times, the challenges, the difficulties, so I appreciate the playful, the joyful, the happiness. And at times I have to dig deep and show courage. Be courageous. Step in and step up when need be. Great leaders in their lives, living their life with purpose. Understanding and really truly appreciating with gratitude and humbleness the things that they have. When I ask people that are great leaders in their life, what are they most grateful for? It's always people. It's always what they've, and who they've connected with. And yes, they might say their work, their career. It might be their legacy that they're interested in, is that they want to know that people have seen them as being caring, compassionate and kind, a good friend, a good person, reminded for the people that they've had in their life that they've made a difference with, for, shown that kind act, that neighbourly act. Who doesn't want that great legacy? Leadership. When I reflect on my leadership, I want a legacy where people look back and say, do you know what? She challenged, she was tough, she dug deep. I'm known to be honest. I tell it as I see it, but I never apologise for that. I always try to do it in a way that people can hear it. Certainly with my clients, I want the best, absolute best for them. And they know that. So they'll tell me they can trust me. And they can tell me and be open. Because I want the best. And I'm in it with them. And I expect them to be in it with me too. Because we're in it together. Leadership. Inspiring and motivating. Growing and changing. Living your best life with your full potential. Being a great leader and example with people around you, your children, family, colleagues, even management who are leaders to you, showing great examples of leadership. Organisations, different generations. I was at Marks and Spencer's. I don't have shares in Marks or Spencer's before you ask, but I was at Marks and Spencer's buying some food. And I came out and I was standing at the car park. And there was a lady who was probably in her maybe her late 70s, early 80s. And she was struggling to cross the road in the car park. It was very busy. And I stopped and I just stood beside her. And I started talking. And I just said to her, "Are you okay there?" And she said, yes, she said, "I'm just waiting." And I said, "Can I take your trolley back for you?" And she said, "I'm waiting for someone." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Do you want me to just leave you then?" And she said, "No, not really." I said, "Right, okay." I said, "Well, I'll just stay here if you don't mind then." She said, "That would be nice. Just keep me company." I said, "I will do." But we waited and it seemed like some time. And it was maybe a couple of minutes, but it seemed a lot longer than that. And I said, "Maybe it's because it's so busy, they're taking a bit of time to get here." And they said, I said, "Are they coming here to meet you? Or are you going to meet them?" And she said, "Oh, I'm going to meet them." And I said, "So are you waiting to cross the road?" She'd been waiting to cross the road, but couldn't find the right time, the right moment to. I said, "Oh." I said, "I didn't realise, excuse me." I said, "I didn't realise you were waiting to cross the road." I said, "Just hold on a second." So I went and I walked across the road and stopped the traffic, put both hands out and stopped the traffic. And then I said to her, waved her, come on. Right? And she pushed her trolley, which was helping her to walk. She pushed the trolley across and she started chuckling. She said, "I've never seen that before." She said, you did that with such command." And I laughed and said, "Oh," I said, "I didn't realise you were waiting to cross the road." I said, "If I'd known you were done that, I'd have done that a lot sooner." And people were laughing and they were waving and, toots, that kind of thing. Nobody was angry, right? They probably thought it was quite funny, quite amusing. And I crossed and I said to her, I said, "Sometimes we can wait and delay just for the right opportunity, but it just doesn't seem to come." I said, "I think that was an example." And she just laughed and she said, "People always say that to me, that I'll just stay and stop and I just won't go." And I said, sometimes we just need the right time, the right opportunity, and maybe the right person." She said, "Well, it was just as well we bumped into each other." And I just laughed. So I walked her up to her car, and the person that was waiting there for her had said, "What kept you?" And she said, "I was waiting for the right person to come along." And I said, "And here we are." And the person in the car just looked as if to say, "I don't think we know you." I said, "Doesn't matter." I said, "It's all good." And I walked away and I could see her telling this story and the person started laughing. And I said to myself, there you go. Leadership. Sometimes leadership, right? It takes two. right? It takes two to come together for something to happen. And that's really what happened. Just from a conversation, the two of us were able to make something happen. And in life, sometimes these opportunities happen, right? And if we don't take up these opportunities, right, we can just stall and nothing comes together. Or we can procrastinate, or we sit and we doubt and we doubt and we doubt. And sometimes we don't ask the right question. Do you see where I'm going with this? Right? Sometimes we don't ask the right question. Great leaders, knowing when, where, how, and asking all the right questions, getting the right information, being well informed is really important in your life. And that's something to think about, isn't it? What is the right questions to ask for you in your life to be the best leader, the greatest leader in your life, to make sure you're living your best life? Thanks for listening. And leadership, what does that look like for you? Is that important for you? Take good care. This is Catherine Gallagher. Think about the qualities of a leader and what it would mean for you, driving your life and reaching your best potential.